Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and today I would like to introduce you to my brand new Festive Wishes Christmas collection. Now in this collection we are going to be looking at several A6 stamps, DL stamps. We've got 4 background stencils to introduce you to as well, and in today's video we're also going to be talking about our brand new quick dry pigment ink pads and Gemstones glitter texture paste. Now, if this is the first video of mine that you have seen, do have a little look to see who shared it with you, because it might be one of our fantastic stockists. And if they have, hopefully, where they've shared it in the description above the video or below the video, you'll find links to their website or to their store for you to go and check out the goodies that I'm sharing with you on today's video. Now, if you don't already have a favourite Jamie Rodgers Crafts stockist, then of course there's an easy way for you to find one. Pop onto our website, which is www.jamierodgerscrafts.com, and on there you'll find a little tab that says Stockist Guide, and if you have a little look on there you'll find all of our amazing stockists. Now all of those are currently based in the UK. We are working on bringing international stockists to us, but we are a very new company if you haven't already heard of us. We've literally only been going for about 10 weeks at this stage, I believe, so hopefully the international stockists will soon be appearing on the website and you'll be able to check those out as well. But in the meantime, if you don't live in the UK but you still wish to grab hold of some of these goodies, do have a little look through our stockist list, because I know several of our stockists do actually ship internationally, so you can still get your hands on all of these and have a good play with them. So let's dive in and have a look through this incredible collection. Now I will warn you before we start, you might want a pen and paper and a cup of tea maybe, because I think we're going to be here for a while, and hopefully I'm going to give you a bit of inspiration on what you could be creating with these products, and you might want to jot down a shopping list of the bits you'd like to get your hands on. So let's delve on in and have a look. So before we jump into the complete collection, I thought we'd start off by having a little look at the items you're going to see featured throughout them. And at this stage, I'm talking to you about my ink pads. There are 6 brand new ink pads in this release, and these ones are brilliant for so many items. These are acid-free, so you can use them in your scrapbook albums. They are pigmented, so if you wish to heat emboss them with embossing powders, you absolutely can do. They are water resistant, so you might wish to mist them or paint them in with watercolour inks and bits like that, that's no problem. And they're also alcohol marker friendly, so if you wish to bring in your favourite Copics or any other brands of alcohol pens, you should find that the inks will not bleed and you're not going to get that sort of tie-dye effect with them. Now there are 6 colours in the first release. Now as you can see them here, we've got Elephant Grey, Chameleon Green, Blue Emperor, Black Panther, Piggy Pink and Squirrel Red. Now it's one thing seeing them on the ink pad themselves, but it's another thing actually getting to see them stamped out, isn't it? We get to see just how detailed we can be with these inks and how lovely they're going to look for you. So this one is our Blue Emperor. We then have our Chameleon Green. Now this is a really lovely rich heritage green. I always like that sort of rich posh department store style greens, and working with our Christmas collection, that's going to be a perfect one for you. We then have our Squirrel Red. Now I always feel when we've got these sort of traditional greens, we need those sort of borderline burgundy reds actually, them rich reds, them heritage reds that are going to work for us. Then we needed our Essential. So we've got our Essential Black Panther, which is going to match up for all of your stamping needs, whether they're sentiments or if you wish to just have that outline to colour in or paint within. I know 9 out of 10 times most of us reach for black ink, so it's nice to have that Black Panther. Now I see a lot of techniques happening at the moment with grey inks and painting those in and colouring those in, because grey is that sort of slightly softer shade, isn't it, to the black, so you don't always see that prominent line and you get more of a painted look or a coloured look with them. So Elephant Grey, again, another lovely heritage shade, great for sort of making more vintage and traditional styles. And then to finish off, we have got Piggy Pink. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I absolutely love the name Piggy Pink. I tried to say it without smiling and laughing because it always brings a chuckle to my face. It's just one of them fun names and lovely colour. I love working in tones of pink, but I'm not somebody who tends to like the bright pinks, the brash pinks. I go more for the subtle pinks, and I find they can be really difficult to get hold of, whether that's in cardstock or within inks and misters and bits like that. So you may have seen our Rose Petal Pink Elite cardstock. That's a lovely soft shade. This Piggy Pink ink works brilliantly with that. but it is actually even slightly lighter, but again works quite nicely. So great soft shade to be working with. So you've got your 6 different shades of quick dry ink pads. They're going to be featuring on a lot of the projects. I thought it would be nice to introduce you to those first off. We then have for you 6 colours of Gemstones texture glitter paste. Now these are gorgeous, and I'll show you just one of the jars to begin with. This is the black onyx. These are 50ml texture paste, so quite nice sizes. They're water based, so if you wish to take them out, mix them with water and then do splattering techniques with them, you can do. If you wish to paint or colour in and then disguise your painting slightly by diluting this down and painting it over the top, that works really nicely. And of course we can use this with our stencils to create incredible depth. So there are 6 different shades, and I'll show you these on boards in just a second. But we've got a lovely gold, which is called Heliodor. We've got diamond white, which is the perfect snow. We've got the black onyx that I mentioned. We then have for you the ruby red, perfect bright red, that gorgeous Christmas shade. Then we've got argentite, which is a silver, beautiful silver, proper disco ball style silver. And then we've got for you our emerald green. Now these of course are all available as of right now as well at all of your favourite stockists. Now when we open these out, one of the bits that's really important to me is that when these reach you, they reach you in pristine condition. So I've had these lids put on the top of them so that they're nice and fresh and airtight sealed, so that you know when this is received it is going to be as fresh as a daisy and ready to work. You then have your perfect lid to keep in place. Now I will mention when I use these, I just cut slightly around the top here so that I create, and I might have this on one already. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. So here we go. I cut just around the lid so that I've got this little flap that I can open out, but it's another seal that keeps it nice and fresh in there. Because obviously we've let the air in, they're in a water-based gluey type medium. It's always good to put as many boundaries in place as we can to make sure that's a nice vacuum seal and that that's going to stay fresh for as long as possible. So let's actually have a little look at how these look, shall we, once used. So this one is our ruby red. Now I don't know how well you're going to see this on the boards, but these stand so prominent. They're so just filled full of sparkle and medium that they actually look more like embellishments put on top of cardstock than they do something you've applied for a stencil. Now of course our stencils are actually made of a slightly higher grade mylar, so they do give us more depth, more structure to them, and that certainly helps. But having the right texture paste and the right depth of stencil really means that you're going to end up with incredible depth on your projects. Now, as I mentioned, even with our lighter shades, such as the diamond white, they're still going to shine through even on dark cardstock. So I know this one's just one of our seashell blue cardstocks, but as we go through these samples, I'll show you some on our night sky navy and our raven black. Now our black onyx, this one's a real showstopper. This is gorgeous. Look at how rich and elegant that looks. And it's still got that sparkle, but it's not too OTT with the black one. It's a lovely black and white monochrome finish to that project. And again, can be worked in so many ways. We've then got our Heliodor. Now this is a really true, beautiful gold. It's got that bright sparkle of Christmas lights, and yet it's still sort of traditional and respectful and sort of just beautiful. It's going to work perfectly when we talk about our hollies, our poinsettias, our Father Christmases. That's all going to go brilliantly in with this sort of traditional gold. Then we've got our argentite. Now this is our silver being used on top of the night sky navy. And again, we can see just how good the finish is with these and how deep they are when we actually use them on the board. This really does look like I've got some sort of snowflake glitter stickers or embellishments and stuck them on top of this. It's such a prominent and lovely finish. So our first stencil we're going to have a little look at is our diamond stencil. Now again, this one's come out in the same collection, but it isn't traditionally Christmas. It's one that you could be using all year round. And this pattern is such a fun one to work with because very easily we can go through with one colour, we can then move it down to create an overlapping diamond, or we can actually move it in such a way that we then colour what was the solid diamonds with another shade. So you can really play around with this. It's a bit like a layering stencil, but of course you just need the one. You don't need all of those different elements. We can do a lot of different styles with just that one, moving it to different positions. When we bring that in with our texture paste, now this of course is the black onyx. I really like this sort of checkerboard effect here with the black and the white, and that little sparkle that we get through coming from the Gemstones texture paste is really beautiful. Talking of sparkle, this is quite a nice one. This again has been done with our diamond stencil, but this time what I've done is I've put it down and I've gone through it with the blue Emperor ink. I've then taken just a small amount of the Argentite Gemstones glitter texture paste, and I've applied it with a brush, like a blending brush, going over the top of it. Now of course make sure you wash your brushes because that is a gluey type medium, but it's give us this really light sparkle that's just gone over the top. So we still see the blue, but we then gain this lovely sort of light sparkly finish to the top of it. Really easy to do, but very effective. Now these are never easy to show on camera, but we're going to give it a go. This is if you emboss this stencil. So I've put it through my machine, and if you've not seen this done before, you take your stencil, you put that down first of all, you then put on top your card, then on top of that you put your tan mat or your rubber mat, depending on the style of mat that you was given with your machine or that you've purchased since, and you send that through your machine. The rubber mat will push the card down into the openings on the stencil, and we will end up with this beautiful embossed effect. And this is something I really love about stencils. You know, if you buy an embossing folder, you can't then stencil with it. But if you buy a stencil, you can then emboss with it. And I think that's a really lovely thing, because it also means, like here, we could emboss this pattern, we can then move it, drop it down, change it to where it is, colour it with a different colour or bring in a texture paste, and you're going to create again a completely different style of background. All because we've got that ability to play around with the different ways in which we use it between the embossing, the texture paste, the inks, the misters, the different bits like that. Then when we bring these into our card, so here's one where I've just used it in the background to do some embossing with, and I'll introduce you to all of the other elements shortly, I promise. Here's one where again I've used the blue Emperor ink over the back of it. I've then dropped that stencil down and I've gone over with the Argentite of the texture paste to create that double diamond background, which works really nicely. Here you'll also see the embossed snowflake, which is coming up shortly, which is another one of our stencils. Another one here just created with the Black Panther ink, just going over the top, blending that, then building up on top of that. And then this is a fun one. Now I mentioned that this stencil isn't actually a Christmas stencil, it can be used all year round, but there's no reason why we can't make it Christmassy. So again, gone over with the blue Emperor ink. I've then taken the smallest snowflake, which comes with Rodney, our lovely snowman, I'll introduce you to him shortly, and I've stamped it into the middle of each of the open diamonds, creating of course this lovely festive snowflakey background. And there's no reason why you might not have a little heart stamp or a little flower stamp that you might wish to stamp into those instead, again giving you lots more options and styles of using that throughout the year. Then moving on to our next stencil. Now I gave you a little sneak of this one on that set of samples. This one is our lovely snowflake stencil. Now again, 8x8 in size, and I always like to bring you large stencils. Nothing frustrates me more than trying to match up small stamps or small stencils. So I'd prefer to bring you bigger ones or ones that have the ability to cover larger areas. And then if you wish to trim them down, you absolutely can do. If you wish to only use part of it, you can do. If you wish to mask it off, you can do. But actually, if you want to do big backgrounds, then you've got that ability to do so as well. So this is our Snowflakes 8x8 stencil. Great for embossing, great for our texture paste, great for our inks. We've seen this a couple of times, but I'll bring it in again in demo board style. So here we are with our texture paste, that's our Argentite. Here we are embossing it for our machine again with our rubber mat. Here we are where we have embossed it and then brought in the blue Emperor ink and added that over the top so that we get that lovely, more intense colour through the snowflake and then light blue in the background. When we bring that into our actual samples and we start creating our cards with it, here's one using the black onyx texture paste used through it, and it's just gone through the different layers to create this style. Now this is actually one of the cards I demonstrated on Create and Craft, but very easy to do. We're just creating different lips and then adding on panels to them. So if I remember rightly, I've scored at 5 centimeters, 10, 15 and 20. And then it's down to you how big you wish for the back panel to be, and then how big you wish to add on these panels. These are separate panels that have been added on. So it's down to you how big you want them to be. If I remember, and I might be able to tell you, because I know you're going to ask, or potentially might ask, the first one here is about 9.5 centimetres. The second panel in is about 12.5 centimetres. And the last page in the booklet is about 15.5. But of course, you can play around with that. You can create these to whatever size you wish to. It doesn't have to be the sizes that I'm working with. It's more about having that fold. Size-wise, about 20.5. So I should imagine that's an A4 that I've just taken and scored down, if I remember rightly. But it gives you this lovely sort of booklet effect. And again, great way to use those stencils. Also playing with those stencils over an aperture. So I've die cut my oval out the middle here, and then I've brought in those stencils and I've inked round it using the Blue Emperor. I've again taken the stamps onto the inside of the project. I'll introduce you to those shortly. And then that completes our lovely snowflake set of samples. Let's move on to our next one. So our next stencil I'm going to introduce you to is our Christmas icon stencil. Now this one matches our Pinstripe Elegant stamp, which I'll introduce you to shortly. I've got so much to talk to you about today. But why I say it matches is each of our icons are set in such a way that there is a line area that runs between them. And that means that we can bring in our Pinstripe Elegant stamp and stamp it over the top. So I'll show you a card first of all before I show you the boards. But here is that stamp stamped over the top in between those different icons. And it's just a way of matching up and creating different backgrounds between our stamping and of course our embossing with our stencils, or our inking, or our texture paste. Now speaking of embossing, here again we have got a heritage green panel which we have coloured, oh sorry, not coloured, embossed through the machine with that rubber mat. So hopefully you can see that okay. Another panel this time done with our squirrel red ink, just blending over the top of it, and then one of our emerald green texture pastes used over the top of this one. And then when we start bringing these in and creating with them, I want to share this with you first of all. This is the most beautiful tag created by Lynn Lewis. It is absolutely stunning, and it's one of our large tags. I'm going to struggle to get it all on screen at one time, but it is huge. And Lynn has used a whole host of items. We've got the little stocking that comes with Father Christmas. We've got Father Christmas. We've got the presents that have been cut off of Father Christmas's hand. And we've got this lovely holly corner. I'll introduce you to all of those shortly. But Lynn has used the icons stencil in the background with the Heliodor glitter texture paste to create this lovely background panel. She's also coloured her tag using the squirrel red ink. And this is one of our MDF tags, so great to see that being used on the MDF and showing you how you can, of course, be stamping and inking the MDF if you wish to. Then moving on, a lovely little sample here by Ian. So Ian has gone ahead and turned our lovely Rodney the Snowman into a little hanging bauble, and he's used the icons in the background. Another one here where Ian has created this beautiful frame using the icons around the edge, then added in the little pieces of holly and the poinsettia to the middle. And then one here that I've done where I've stamped again using the Pinstripe Elegant stamp I'll introduce you to shortly. And I've used the stencil with the Heliodor Gemstones texture paste over the top of it. Added on our Father Christmas and our little Merry Christmas that comes in with Father Christmas, and a gold bow just to match in. Very simple, very easy. And then the last one I wanted to share with you. I love this. How cute is this? Lynn's done a few of these. This is using the diamond white texture paste through our icon stencil onto one of our little tags, which has been coloured with the elephant grey ink. And I just thought that was so lovely. She's right, Happy Christmas on the back. She's added a little ribbon, but wouldn't that make the most adorable little tag on a present? I think that's so cute. Then we move on to our fourth stencil, the last one in this release. This is our star lines. So again, an 8x8 stencil giving you the ability to pick out the area you want to use. Working this with our texture pastes. This again is the lovely Heliodor. Embossing it through our machines to create that lovely embossed effect. Matching it in again with the Pinstripe Elegant stamp, which is coming up, showing you that you can stamp either side of those stars to create some lovely backgrounds. Ian's taken it here and turned it into a lovely little present idea. Lynn's done another one of her little tags using the ruby red with it. And then I've got one here where I've done it with Father Christmas, and I've used the black onyx and a little mix of the Heliodor through this to create these black and gold stars, and then added on Father Christmas with some black and gold matte, sorry. So there are 4 stencils. Now we've spoken an awful lot about our Pinstripe Elegance stamp. So let's introduce you to this one next. This is our first DL stamp from this release. Now I love a DL stamp because it usually means it's going to cover the size of the project you want to be working on. So as in card sizes up to 8x8 or there downwards, you're going to be able to stamp this and make this one of your mats and layers without having to worry too much about matching it up to extend it out if you don't wish to. Here is a panel I've created on a piece of A4. I've trimmed it down ever so slightly, but you can see how lovely these lines are. And of course you could turn them this way to use them for journaling or writing in your scrapbook albums if you wanted to. Or of course we can use them as just a lovely background. We can multi-stamp them in different colours. We could choose to heat emboss some of them. We can use them with our Starline stencil we've looked at, our Christmas icon stencil we've looked at, and we'll also be able to use this with a snowflake stamp that's coming up in just a moment as well. Now I mentioned using these in multiple colours and stamping with them. You can also choose to do that in multiple directions. Again, not a Christmas card, showing you how we can bring these in all year round. We've seen a couple of these done already, but it's nice to see it in a larger format. Taking this, stamping that down, adding in our Christmas icons between it just works really lovely. Again, stamping in multiple colours to create great pinstripe backgrounds, and another one here showing you those Christmas icon stencils, and then that being stamped either side of that as well, just to make a small DL card. And I really like those because I think it opens up a whole world of different sizes and options. Now I did just give you a little sneaky that we do have another matching stamp to go with this one, and this is our snowflake stripe. So again, another DL stamp, so perfect for making big backgrounds whichever way around you wish to use it, but grand for working with our pinstripe stamp as well. So our Pinstripe Elegance line will fit perfectly between our snowflakes. So again, you can choose to stamp them all in one colour like Lynn has here, or you could choose to stamp them in different colours. Maybe you want to heat emboss one of them. You know, lots of different options in how you might want to offset and play around with those to create different styles. Now this beautiful snowflake stamp can be used on its own to make backgrounds if you prefer, without having to use it with a pinstripe stamp. So here's one just used as a background. Here's another little one here showing you actually stamped on top of our pebble grey. These ones have been stamped using that blue Emperor ink. And then just in case you wondered, can I make big projects with this? Of course you can. So here's an A4 sheet, once again just trimmed down slightly for our mats and layers, but showing you how we can multi-stamp that to make some really great backgrounds. Now whether that wants to be the cover to an album, the front of the card, whether that needs to be a 12x12 to go on an album, you know, the options really are yours at where you wish to end with this. I know a lot of people have been talking about actually stamping and creating their own wrapping papers and tissue papers, and I think that's a really nice idea too. Excuse me. And then moving on, we have got our Poinsettia Melody. Now this one is lovely. It's again a DL stamp, and it's designed in such a way that you can match it in any direction. So if you wish to stamp it and then stamp above it, stamp to the right of it, stamp to the left of it, stamp below it, you can do. It will always match up, so you can extend it out. So whether we wish to just go sideways like I have here for our lovely A4 panel showing you this stamped 3 times, or if you prefer, you could go all the way up to a big 12x12. And this is one that I've done and coloured with some alcohol markers. Let's get it the right way up, that might help. But of course, again, it's down to you where you wish to stop or end this one. You could go as big or as small as you want to. I had great fun sitting and colouring this in front of the TV. But of course, if you were going to be adding some photos to this or some journaling or using it in your project, you could of course skip colour in the areas where you're going to be layering your photos if you prefer, or you could keep it in one colour. This one here was stamped with our elephant grey, and I actually find that really lovely, very vintagey, very beautiful, very, very poignant. And of course, if you prefer, if you don't wish to leave it in one tone but you wish to bring in some other shades, then you can of course just pick out one element. So like on this card here, I've just picked out the berries. I've stamped this with our chameleon green ink, and then I've picked out the berries with a red alcohol marker. We've also layered on top here our lovely Father Christmas. Now bringing in some smaller cards, because of course it's down to you where you wish to end with this. It doesn't have to be a big project. It can of course be a small project. These are our little dinky slimline cards. They're really tiny actually. What are these? Let's give you a bit of a size guide on these. These are 3¼ inches by about 8 inches. So proper nice small cards. So if we are thinking of batch making or we wish to be cost effective for postage, very quick, very simple, very easy to do. Again, just stamped in the Panther blank ink. This one's had a bit of blending done around the edge of it using the squirrel red, and then they've both been coloured with alcohol markers. Two very different styles from one stamp. Bringing in again, showing you larger backgrounds done with this one. If we actually open this one up, you can see I've done the whole of the insert with it, and I've also used it on the outside here as well. We've also got Father Christmas bought in too. Now this is a project that I quite like. This one stamped in black, so our Black Panther, coloured the berries red, and then with a gold gel pen I've just gone in and added a few details to the holly. That then matches in with our very simplistic colouring of Father Christmas in his red, white and black with little hints of gold, and then it matches in with the layers as well. So very easy to do, especially if you're not the most confident colourer. You don't have to colour everything, and bringing in something like gold gel pen details can really break up any colouring you have done. This is beautiful. Now, if I remember rightly, this is one of our lovely Lynn's cards. It is. Hasn't she done an amazing job with this? Isn't it beautiful? So she's multi-stamped, coloured in again, added some glitter to the top of it. Really, really stunning. Then if I show you this one from Ian, giving you a completely different vibe, going again more traditional, stripping down those colours, going very vintage, added in a little stamped element at the top there. Bringing in one by me, slightly larger than the one by Ian, but again just coloured in Valcar markers, a little bit of blending around the edges of our sentiment, that will be coming up shortly. And then a different idea, taking your actual card blank, stamping just to strip down it, and then building up a little tab. So our little tab here is working with our Christmas dies that we released just a few weeks ago. Then another one here by Lynn. Lynn's used it just as one edge of her card, and then she's added the rest of the mats and layers in with Mirror Card and our lovely Gladiator red cardstock from the Elite range, added in our foliage die on the side and our Merry Christmas die. Then another one here by me, again just showing you how you can just do one strip if you wish to. Doesn't have to be the whole background. And then the last one I wanted to share with you with this one is this one, which I've stamped in black. I've coloured in the berries in gold. I've gone around the edge with the squirrel red ink to just blend it in slightly, and then matted and layered in blacks and golds to coordinate. So there are 3 DL stamps. Now hopefully that's really got you inspired with those, because I've really enjoyed those. I think they're great fun and really lovely to play around with. Then we go on to our focal stamps. Now you've seen a couple of these already, but let's bring in our lovely Father Christmas. Now this one is called The Gift of Christmas, because of course Father Christmas is holding on there to his lovely present. We've got this great holly corner, and this is the first corner I'm going to point out. There is a corner stamp with all of our focal stamps, just to mean that you've got that matching element to finish off your panels. You've then got our stocking stamp, you've got Season's Greetings and Merry Christmas, and you can see here I've tried to get as many items onto that stamp as we possibly can to give you the best value for money that we really truly can do on a single stamp set. Now when we bring in our lovely Father Christmas stamp, you've seen him on several examples already, but you can see very quickly how we can take him through different colours, different styles to create some really lovely different types of cards, and again teaming him with things like our lovely Poinsettia stamp that we was just looking at. Or of course, if you prefer, you could bring in some other released items that are already out and about. This is our Opulent Trees Trio Stencils. This is the largest one, and I've inked it, and then I've used our Gemstones texture paste over the top of it, so we've got that two-tone tree. You'll also notice the corner and the stocking and the sentiment in the middle. This corner comes with Rodney, this sentiment's on our sentiment sheet, but of course the stocking does of course come with Father Christmas too. Now, Ian has to be one of the best colourists I've ever seen, and he has created this stunning card with Father Christmas. I love the way he does his blending and how he just creates such depth within his colouring. I also like the way he added in little rosy cheeks for Father Christmas, and of course he's built up his card using our lovely line die. We've also got our Christmas Wishes sentiment stamp, and we've got our poinsettia that we're going to be coming up to shortly. Now, again, just thinking outside the box slightly from cards, why not work on our MDF tags with these stamps too? So Father Christmas has been stamped, coloured. I've then used our diamond white texture paste and I've painted that on around here. I've mixed it with a little bit of water, painted in around sort of the edges of the white areas of Santa's suit, and I've then used it with a palette knife to make up a little bit of snow at the base here. I've used the corner that comes with Rodney to go across the top, and I've used the squirrel red ink to just blend around the edges to tone that down slightly. Now working on our, and I never remember the name of these are our foiled inkables, I think. I'm going to go with foiled inkables. These are our lovely panels which are foiled, which you can add ink to and the foil will resist it. They're great fun to work with and they're really lovely for stamping on as well. So here I've done a couple, they're very similar, but you can actually see slight differences in colouring of Father Christmas to give you different ideas. But these again are using our Father Christmas stamp. On this one we've got sending warmth and wishes your way this Christmas, and on this one I've added in season's greetings. Now this is a lovely card by Lynn. Lynn's bought in Father Christmas. She's also bought in 3 little stocking stamps. She's used our snow flurry stencil over the top. And then on the inside, how cute is this? On the inside, we've got 3 Rodneys all stamped together in a little trio. And I like to think of this as a stocking for each that Santa is bringing. They all really colour coordinate in, and doesn't that look stunning? Again, snow flurry stencil used in the background, 3 little Rodneys, and of course Father Christmas. I think that's a winner. Really, really love that project. Then we spoke about MDF tags. Of course, we do lots of different sizes and styles. So here's another one I've done where I've bought in Father Christmas. I've added a little bit of snow across the bottom of the diamond white Gemstones texture base. I've also used it through the snow flurry stencil to finish off the top, and I've added in the Merry Christmas stamp that comes with Father Christmas. Another one done here by Lynn. Lynn's used a lovely stripe stencil in the background to create this candy cane style look. She's added on Father Christmas and she's stamped season's greetings running around the edge here from the same set. She's also used that lovely holly corner to finish off the edges of this one too. And that is all of our samples to share with you from the gift of Christmas, that one, of course, also known as Father Christmas in my world. Then we bring in for you, now he is the star of the show. This is Rodney the Snowman. Rodney has been adopted by many, I feel, and has proved incredibly popular. And I know you've seen him on several of the creations already, but I have a whole host more to share with you. Now with Rodney, we also get the wording of Snowflake Wishes and Let It Snow. We also get 3 snowflakes and that beautiful snowflake corner. So lots and lots again in this one set. Using him in many different ways. Here's one done by Lynn. Lynn has created and stamped on top of our lovely craft paper and then coloured in. She's added in some holly stamping. She's added in the Let It Snow and then added in colours in different tones of brown to really create this very cool vintage card. Ian has gone slightly opposite. We've gone very nice and bright here. We've got a really playful Rodney dressed up in blue and white. I don't know a lot about football teams, but I'm going to say he's in the colours for Ipswich. Don't know the name. Let's say Ipswich Town. Maybe it's City. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what Ipswich is. I'm sorry. I should know this. I used to shop in Ipswich all the time. I think it's a city. You'll have to let me know. I'll have to Google this afterwards. I apologise, Ipswich. I should know this. I used to go shopping there every Saturday. Loved Ipswich. So anyway, going back to the card, I apologise, I digress. So lovely snowflake corners in the corners here. Rodney stamped in the middle in our lovely Ipswich football team colours in my mind anyway. But I highlight this and show that I know nothing about geography because I'd like to point out you could colour this in any colours for any team, any style of sport, anything that you know your grandchildren, your friends, your family are into. I feel his scarf and hat are a lovely addition to sort of personalise it for the person you're going to send it to. Then on to one I've done here. So again, I've brought in our foiled panels and I've stamped on here Rodney. I've gone for a pink colour scheme this time, teaming it with a bubblegum pink cardstock. In the insert, I've stamped the corners and I've added in one of our sentiments. I've also used the separate snowflakes that come with Rodney to go around the edges. And I've coloured in the middles of the snowflakes with a little silver gel pen to give that a little bit of sparkle to match in with a foiled panel on the outside. Another stunning card here done by Ian. Ian has gone for our lovely diamond white texture paste over acetate through the snow flurry stencil, added on Rodney with a couple of little snowy hills at the bottom and our Merry Christmas sentiment at the top. when we open this out, you can see that you've got your different layers that he's created to make sure that that's nice and white underneath there, and you can still write on the inside and not see the writing come through on the front. I just think that's a really nice way to finish that off in a beautiful, beautiful card. Another foiled panel one here, coloured in with alcohol markers, little sentiment on the edge, matching in with the colours that have been coloured in here with our Seashell Blue Elite card and our Night Sky Navy. Another little Rodney, this time going for the blue and the white and the green scarf. And this one's lovely. This one's done by Lynn, where she's really built up. She's done some heat embossing here. She's added in the corners. I like the way she's trimmed around this. She's added in some snowflakes, the ones that come with Rodney, and stamped Rodney in the middle of that as well. Then on to our last, I believe, focal stamp as such. This one is our Poinsettia foliage. Now this one's a gorgeous one. So I wanted a poinsettia that was easy to cut out. I love stamping and cutting and layering, and this is what I wanted to achieve with this set. So very, very simple to cut. You've then got a beautiful matching poinsettia corner. You've got this lovely piece of holly. You've got a great branch that you can stamp and put underneath your poinsettia if you want to. You've got a silhouette poinsettia, and you've got a bit of mistletoe in there as well. So again, lots and lots to play with. Samples really vary, so let's start with this one. This one is from Lynn, where she has stamped and heat embossed in gold and then coloured in just on the tops and the bottoms of this DL card. Going to a polar opposite, also done by Lynn. This one this time, oh, excuse me, she's stamped it, she's coloured it, and then she's added glitter over the top to make this incredibly sparkly card. And then another one by Lynn, and I love this, how you can see one mind going off in so many different directions. This time she's stamped it, heat embossed it, cut it and layered it, and coloured it, and then put it into this lovely foiled panel, which actually looks a bit more like a snow globe once you've covered that bottom bit with these. Added in the mistletoe Christmas wishes in the middle. To me, that's a stunning traditional Christmas card. Another one here done by myself. This time I've brought in the different stamps. So we've got these different pieces. We've got the bit of holly. We've got the sort of leafy bit as well. So I've gone in and I've stamped them and built up this lovely background. Added in some colour with alcohol markers, done some blending with the squirrel red ink, and then I've diluted down the Heliodor Gemstones glitter paste and painted that over the top of the poinsettias just to add in a little bit more sparkle. One here done by Ian, using this as a lovely, very sort of clean and simple element on the corner of his card here. Cutting around the leaves, cutting around the flowers and layering that up. Another one done by Ian, again showing how one stamp goes off in so many different ways. This time Ian has stamped in the elephant grey and he's cut out and layered on top of a little tag, which I thought was a really lovely idea. Now when we talk about cutting these out, we don't have to cut out all of them. So here I've stamped 3 together and I've just cut across the top of them to make what is inferior and edgeable. I've then on a guillotine trimmed off the other 3 sides to make this little base panel. Now you could tuck gift cards in there, you could put your money in there if you're going to be sending money to somebody at Christmas, you could put tickets in there if you're giving tickets to a concert or something like that at Christmas, or of course you could build this up on 4 sides, turn it into a frame and sink something else in the middle like a photograph, or it could be around the edge of your insert. There's so many ways you could take that idea of stamping them together and then placing them into something else. Of course, in the background, we've got our diamond stencil, working with our ruby red Gemstones glitter paste and our squirrel red ink pad. Slightly different idea here, stamping just on the small bar in the middle, adding in some sentiments, using this on top of our poinsettia melody background. So just showing you how you can build those two together. The poinsettia matches perfectly with the one that you're going to find in the background. So if you do want to bring those in and work on the same project with them, that's going to work really nicely. Another one done here by Lynn. This time she's brought in this lovely little holly piece and stamped, painted, added on some of the ruby red glitter, and then cut them out and layered them into this little border element. Another one here done by myself. This time I have stamped using the squirrel red ink on top of the pebble grey card and cut them out and layered them, added in some little highlights with a gold gel pen. This of course teamed in with our lovely burgundy and red and gold and white Father Christmas, and of course using our star lines in the background from our stencils. And then again, very similar idea, very similar layout, but very different because of the colours we're working with. So this time we're working with our rose petal pink elite cardstock. We've got the Heliodor Gemstones glitter paste and of course the squirrel red ink pad going over that to sort of make up that pinstripe background with our gold beautiful stars. Then our last stamp set that I want to introduce you to, and you've seen loads of this one throughout the examples, this is our Christmas Wishes collection, Christmas Sentiments. And in here we have got Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, Season's Greetings, Christmas Wishes, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. With love this Christmas, thinking of you this festive season. And then a couple of larger ones more for your inserts if you wish to. Wishing you all the joy in the world this festive season and sending warmth and wishes your way this Christmas. So a whole host of sentiments taking you hopefully through every part of your creation, whether that be the gift tag on the present, right the way through to the outside of the card, right the way through to the inside of the card, and some of them even maybe for your scrapbooking and journaling after the event has happened, tying everything together. Now, this time I've stamped it onto an MDF tag to show that we could use these on our presents. This time I've brought it in with Rodney and I've stamped the wishing you all the joy in the world this festive season at the top here. Here I've brought in sending warmth and wishes your way this Christmas with our Father Christmas stamp. And lastly, we've got the same sending warmth and wishes your way this Christmas, again teamed with our Father Christmas stamp. Now, I hope that's given you a few ideas of what you could be creating with this collection and showing you all of the different stamps. Lastly, I wanted to share with you two projects that actually encompass quite a few different bits. So here's one that I wanted to share. I mentioned there are 3 different corners. We've got our one with Rodney, we've got the one with the Poinsettia, and we've got the one with Father Christmas. Now these make the most beautiful embellishment stamps to go around your envelope. So when we're talking about matching in, when we're talking about using these products on your gift tags, and then on your albums, and then on the cards on the fronts, the cards on the inserts, why not go ahead and decorate your envelopes to match? Make everything coordinate. You've got the items, take them, decorate them, work with them. Colour these in if you wish to with the same pens and colours you're using on the front of your card, and then everything is going to coordinate. It's going to give you a really lovely luxury feel. Then lastly, my last project I want to share with you. This is something I love to do. Now we've launched this collection here in the UK during our summer break for our schools, our 6-week school holiday. And I love the idea, and it might not be for this school holiday, you might save it, you might make them now and then give them to them at a later time. But I love the idea that for your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, your children, or actually anybody, might be your neighbour. They might not necessarily be into crafting, they might not know how to make their cards or started making cards yet, they might not be into stamping. You know, there's lots of different people out there with different abilities of crafting, or as I mentioned, maybe young children who haven't yet started stamping and playing around. Well, this is the perfect gift for them that they can then pass on. This is a box that I've made, and I've used the snowflake stamp around the edges. We've got our lovely Rodney taking focal on the front here, the Merry Christmas from the Father Christmas set, and the corner from Rodney. Then when we open this out, on the inside of our gift box, we have got for you, let's see if we can get hold of them all at once. Here they are. We have got for you some cards. So these are designed that they can then colour these in and give them as gifts when it gets to Christmas. So if they're not necessarily known to be a card maker, you've done the heavy lifting for them, you've done the stamping, the mattering, the layering, the building, and then all they've got to do is add some colour, which anyone could do sat in front of the TV as a little project, maybe one evening or throughout the day or in a group setting. Colour them all in, and then in your box as well you can fit the envelopes for them to use to send. And then at the base of the box, if you wish to, depending on who you're sending it to, if you don't know if they've got the right supplies, you could add in some pencils, some pens, whatever you wish to give them the chance to do some colouring. If it was a gift for a fellow crafter, you could possibly even put in like a watercolour palette, for instance, and a paintbrush or something along them lines, knowing that you've stamped these in an ink that is alcohol ink friendly, so it could be some marker pens in there, and waterproof ink, so you could watercolour them if you wanted to, or of course just keeping it simple with some colouring pencils or some felt tips. Then once they've coloured in all of their cards and of course pop them in their envelopes ready to send, they can then add some colour to their gift box, and they have also then themselves got a matching gift box to go with their card to be sent out to, depending on who it is, maybe their hairdresser, their postman, or of course, if we're talking about the children, maybe this could be something they give to their teacher this Christmas or give out in class to their friends. There's lots of options and ways in which they could be using them, but I just think these are really fun images that people of all ages are really going to enjoy adding some colour to, even if they're not known as being a crafter. Well, I hope you enjoyed having a little look through that lot. It's a big collection, isn't it? And there's certainly a lot of inspiration there that I hope you've taken some ideas away from. That is, to be honest with you, what myself and the design team are always aiming to do, is to give you them little nuggets of inspiration. You know, you might not like everything or all of a project, but if you can take away a little bit of a snippet of an idea, then we've done our job. Our mission is complete. Now, as I mentioned at the very beginning of today's video, if you haven't already found your favourite Jamie Rodgers craft stockist, then please do pop onto the website. It's www.jamierodgerscrafts.com, and there's a little tab that says Stockist Guide, and you can find your favourite stockist on there. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we will soon be adding international stockists to that list, but in the meantime, I know several of the stockists that are on there do ship internationally, so hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on these goodies. And once again, if this video has been shared with you, do check out and see if the person who shared it is one of our stockists, and if they've added the links directly to the right pages for the items, hopefully in the post, so that you don't have to go searching for them. It'll be a direct link for you to check out all these goodies. Now, thank you very much for joining me today, and as I mentioned throughout the video, do keep an eye out. We will be bringing a lot more little mini demos and bits to the YouTube channel in the next few weeks with this collection to hopefully give you a bit more inspiration. If you haven't already seen, we've been bringing lots of videos from our previous releases as well to hopefully inspire you. I never want you to buy something and in a few weeks not have inspiration to back that up. So there will always be fresh inspiration coming and showing you how one collection can work with another collection and bringing them bits together to hopefully keep that mojo inspired and keep you crafting. Thank you very much for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Bye for now.